Okay.
Your presentation is up. You can start anytime, Tom.
Okay, just give me a second. Okay. I'm back, so you can clap your hands. And you can stop thinking. Any luck? Probably not. Let's try another way. Everybody, let's take our pulse. Ah, that's good news. I don't see anyone lying on the floor. So you're thinking, and that's good. When we dream, day or night, probably we're still thinking. For me, it seems like my mind never stops. But to me, dreams are like clouds. They come from nowhere. They float right on by and they go somewhere. Nobody knows where. But if one just grabs a dream before it goes on to somewhere and works on it, it can become a vision. I had a dream that every club in District 35 had 20 plus members and was going strong. I grabbed that dream 2 years ago, and I've been working on it ever since. Now it has become a vision. I shared that vision with Jennifer, and she liked it a couple of years ago. So I've been working on it ever since. And I've asked 2 Toastmasters to help me. I've asked Mark Robinson to serve on the committee as chairman, and he agreed. Then I turned to Robert Wall if he would also serve for his ability to focus ideas down to practical plans. And that's where we're at today. I would like to share with you what we are working on. It's a forward-thinking version for a strong District 35. This is a work in progress, so we are continuing to work on it, and we have more work to do, and we need help from clear thinking, forward-looking district officers from the entire district to help us bring this vision to all of the district. Just in case you've been dreaming, ideas, comments, and suggestions are greatly appreciated. Area club directors are the link between the members and the district officers. You are the VIP with this vision because we know that you're in touch with clubs all over the district. So please give us your support and district, and we can end up taking District 35 to its best it's ever been in its existence of 70 years. You've seen the vision for a forward-looking program that was designed for us. And if you happen to have that, Robert, could you pull up that vision of the pillar? And I'll keep on talking.
I've got it, Tom. I'm showing your
okay. And
pyramid now.
I want to thank Patrick Brinkman for creating that visual for us. As I said, this is largely based on strength supported by proven pillars. Principles that were definitely proved workable by Lance Miller. He was a 2005 world champion in public speaking, and he took over 200 struggling clubs to go on to President's Distinguished. And we can do the same thing. But our vision is based on members, marketing, meetings, and motivation. 4 pillars which denote strength. And the issue of declining membership started 20 years ago, not 2 years ago. And it's been happening in service clubs, professional organizations, even churches, including Toastmasters. But there's one exception, and it's important that you know this. Athletic clubs are holding their own and even continuing to grow their membership. There's a reason for that, and I would like you to listen carefully. The basic human needs are food, water, protection, security, and self-actualization. I like the word self-improvement better. Psychologist Maslow developed that principle. If you have that vision, that screen up now.
Yep.
The top line is spelled wrong. It's just spelled Toastmasters. How did we miss that? The Toastmasters was an important self-help destination that people go to. But we have to sell that as the reason for coming to Toastmasters. How did we miss that? I've got a hunch. How many of you have heard people say, when you join Toastmasters, you can move at your own speed, your own pace? That's not good advice. Because when you tell people that Toastmasters is about public speaking, they turn themselves off. They're afraid of public speaking. That's their fear. That's why they're thinking about some organization, and Toastmasters is the right place. But don't turn them off by telling them that Toastmasters is about public speaking. It very well might be a result, but the majority of us just want to be better communicators, not handsomely paid public speakers. So start telling people how you will. And when you get into the vision that we have for forward-looking District 35, you'll learn how to develop the public speaking skills when you're talking to strangers. A stranger asked me just last Friday about Toastmasters. And when I told him that it was about communication skills, that sounds interesting, he said. And I very possibly in 1 minute have found a new prospect for the Rock Solid Communicators Club, known for the last 66 years as the Janesville Toastmasters. So if we change our thinking, how we market to get more members, we change our meeting to become fun, not the same old boring agenda that we've been using for years. By practicing, by participation, by attending fun meetings and being rewarded for engagement, we will defeat declining membership by fulfilling the basic human need for self-improvement. If Mark is with us, and I know Robert is, if you have any comments, the second half of this program will be directed by Keith Kaminsky in order to get interaction from our audience, and we will learn what makes up each of the 4 pillars: members, marketing, fun meetings, and motivating, so the District 35 is strong again. So questions and answers are very much appreciated. Even suggestions are welcome. So I'm going to ask you now to take your pulse again. Did you find it? Has it come up? I hope so. Take your time and enjoy the rest of the event. And I'm sure you will find that there is a right way to get our club members up to 20. I like the quotation that I found from General Patton a couple of days ago. He said, when you've come through hell, keep on going. Just change your route. Mr. Kaminsky, if you want to get the rest of the game started and going, and I'll get myself back on track.
All right, excellent. Well, okay, I'll prime the pump a little bit. I'll start with a question. I see, and thank you, yes, Tom. So one of the pillars is motivate. How what are some suggestions you could offer to convince someone that Toastmasters is fun? We tell people that, right? But when they hear anything about public speaking, right? And I know we don't lead with that, but eventually you got to tell them we do public speaking within the club setting. How do you get them over the hurdle to think, how could that ever be fun? How do you motivate them?
And by the way, Robert and Mark, you could chime in anytime. This is District 35's program, not Tom Carlson's. So we want to everybody be involved. But
I don't think we have Mark with us tonight, but I will definitely jump in.
Okay. Do you want to handle Keith's first question?
Well, I'd like to hear from some of the other people on the call because people have an opportunity to hear from me semi-regularly.
When the Vance Miller introduced the program, he said there were two key ingredients that turned the tide for increasing club membership and taking clubs from struggling to President's Distinguished. And the one was meetings have to be fun. And then he said there has to be some rewards. We haven't finished investigating that yet, but District 35 has awards, I should say, and there are different designations through the entire channel. Do clubs have a designation called Distinguished Member? Do clubs have a Distinguished Most Improved Member? Do they have a designation for Best Recruiter? If people know that they can get some recognition for that, Vance Miller instituted a program where he awarded points. For every member that attends a meeting, they got some points. Now, in order to do this, we have to have a scorekeeper for people that are in the game. So if you could say 5 points for attending a meeting, if you give 20 points for giving a project speech, if you get 50 points for completing a level, if you get 40 points for attending the club support seminar, all the way through the program, people receive awards, record points, and then they're total up. And at the end of the year, and the club, by the way, decides what those awards will be. We don't decide that. Every club can do it their way, and that's important. And then at the end of a year, a club can have an event that would be titled something like Celebrating Achievement. And that is when it is announced who has the most points and who is going to be given the designation of being the most distinguished Toastmaster in the Rock Solid Communicators Club. That's one ingredient. The other ingredient is having fun, and that's not playing checkers. If you go to a meeting, okay, let's start back. You get an agenda for the meeting next week, and it's the same agenda that they have been recording for the last, I don't know how many years. When I look at that agenda for the upcoming meeting and I see it's the same old thing, it's not exciting. One of the clubs I belong to has a business meeting every meeting they have. And so they ask for the VP of Education for a report. You know the report that I hear the most often? Maybe an announcement of the next event or the next speech contest. But generally it's it's probably 5 minutes wasted completely. And I haven't found anybody who enjoys the business meetings. So we don't need one every time. How about taking that time and devoting it to another one? We'll have a list of, say, 15 or 20 alternate programs besides Oz and Ums, besides any of the other ones. Never passing up a speech, probably never getting rid of the table topics. But we don't need a timer every meeting. We can report to the individual separately, but everybody else in the meeting doesn't have to know what my timing was. So there are some of those meetings that are duplicated every single Toastmaster meeting, and they add to what I call boredom. How about having one that calls enunciation master? We did this at our club a few meetings ago, and we practiced tongue twisters. Boy, did we ever have fun. And you know what? Everybody agreed that it helped them to enunciate better and that it helped to slow down their speaking rate. And why not have a program devoted to speaking rate instead of Oz and Ums? That answers your question with a long answer, but I get excited about these things.
It sounds like it sounds like, in a word, variety, right?
That's a better word.
Well,
Yeah.
and let me jump in here, because I'm the new guy on this committee, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to steer this. The big thing about this committee is we're coming up with ideas. We're not coming up with things that we're telling you have to do as a club. We're coming up with ideas, and we're trying to centralize good ideas so that we can share them with our members so that they can do useful things. Because a lot of people get into their Toastmasters meeting and they only have 5 people show up, and they think, oh, this meeting is going to suck because we have 5 people. Well, congratulations, your meeting is doomed because you started off by thinking your meeting was going to suck. What do you have? This is just Toastmasters 101. What do you got? Improvise, adapt, overcome. Come on, people. You got 5 people. Okay, someone can cover Toastmaster and General Evaluator. No big deal. You need a speaker, you need an evaluator. Got those? Good. Get table topics. The evaluator. Run your evaluator round robin. Give the person 5 evaluations because you have an hour. Give the person 5 different evaluations. We didn't do a formal contest at Rockwell AB this cycle. We had our contest speakers speak. We knew both of them were going on. Everybody evaluated them. We had like 10 people on the call. Did a complete round robin. Here's your feedback because that makes you better. And the idea is that getting some knowledge like that, and I'm not holding myself up as the end all be all of Toastmasters because I don't know it all either, but some of these ideas, you say that to certain people and the light bulb goes on. And they're like, oh, I don't have to do all of this stuff? No, you don't. In fact, the only reason evaluators need to follow speakers is because it's kind of hard to do it the other way around. Although we have clubs that have done it. It's called a backward meeting. It's really awesome. Something it's worth trying. It's even more fun if the speaker actually tries to make their speech fit what the evaluation said they did. That's a whole new level of challenge. But the idea with this committee is that we're coming up with good ideas. The other idea with this committee is that we're attempting to provide leverage on the district level. And I talked about this a little bit at our deck meeting yesterday. We have, for example, a promotional banner, which is a 2-foot by 6-foot banner. We're giving the banner out to clubs in our district for free. Clubs have to buy the stand. But the idea is you can put this in a place of business. You can put this in a library, whatever. Any place they'll give you a place to put it. People can scan the QR code. They can find your club. We're working on a business card template so that you have something to hand out. And we're kind of attempting to centralize some of this stuff at the district level to where we can provide leverage to help clubs. So there's high leverage activities and there's knowledge transfer. And that to me is the goal of this whole this whole thing. Plus, having Tom pop around to some clubs and inspiring them and getting them a little bit fired up, because this is a really cool program that we have here. The number of things you will get to do in your life where you have the opportunity to make a measurable, meaningful difference in somebody else's life, the number of opportunities you will get like that is vanishingly small. This is one of them.
I was finishing cardiac rehab last Friday, and I went up to a stranger that I've never, ever seen before. And I said, "How did your rehab go?" And he said, "Fine. How about yours?" And I said, "Well, I got 2 miles in, but now I'm going to go home and work on my speech." "What's that? What does that mean?" I said, "Well, I'm involved with a program called Toastmasters, which is involved with improving our communications." "Well, that sounds interesting. You got a card?" "I'm waiting for one."
That's a good one. Have a card.
Yeah. The other day, a lady from Speakeasy said that she was stopped at the gas station on the way from the meeting, and she was very happy. And a gentleman who was a stranger said, "You have a wonderful smile." And she said something about Toastmasters keeps me happy. She didn't have a business card either. The gentleman I talked to last Friday quickly got out his cell phone and put my address in, and he said, "You'll hear from me after this weekend. I'm going to go ice fishing. I'll see you later." The power of a business card. You got to have it in your pocket, however, and I'm out of my Toastmaster business cards. But that vertical banner that would come under the pillar of marketing, people who have a job. I don't have a job. I'm retired now. But people who have a job could put that vertical banner in their workplace. Maybe the library would allow you to take it, and there's a QR code on it that will link to your website if you have your own barcode, your own vertical banner. And I think, Robert, you said they're going to cost us about $36 out of pocket.
The banners themselves, the district is paying for, so that $10 for the banner the district is covering. The
Wow.
stand to put the banner on is $25.
Wow.
And the club has to buy that themselves. But
See what I learned?
We're meeting the club part way with this. And by the way, this banner, I'm the one who got the design finalized, but this was Tom's project pre-COVID. Tom tried to get the ball rolling, and he got the ball rolling just in time for everything to get shut down. And he showed up at a spring conference this last year, and he hands me a box and says, "Here, take this." And it was the one prototype of that first banner that we had. Todd, you have a hand up.
Yes, I did. I was just going to say that Tom's ideas about the annual banquet and awarding the different members who've achieved like Best Evaluator, Toastmaster of the Year, and stuff like that. We do that at a couple of different clubs that I've been to in District 61, and they always seem to be very popular because sometimes the awards are named after a key player in a club. Like I would say the equivalent of a Tom Carlson in our district was a guy named Bill Butcher, who was one of my first mentors. And he is what's called the Bill Butcher Award in 2 of the different clubs that he was partly responsible for starting. And it's quite an honor to get that award based on a certain criteria. So at the annual year-end celebrations or whatever, that award is given, just like the mayor of the city is called Peter B. Yeoman, and because he's given us the ability to have the chalets and city resources for free for years, it honors both the city who's giving us the stuff, and it honors the man or whoever was the link in the organization that we were able to make it with. So those definitely go a long way to solidifying and reward and recognition, if you want to call it. I also wanted to say that we've done the business card idea, and on the back of the business card, instead of just having, you know, the club name and the club details, we leave a line where you can put your own name, and on the back it says you're cordially invited to visit the club. So they feel like they're getting a present. And when people get something that feels like it's individualized or personalized to them, it's not like I'm just going to a B&E and shoving out 10 cards and collecting a whole bunch of cards and running away. There's some sort of an attachment that you get when you give something that feels personalized. That's why I would say, if you're going to make something of marketing material, don't make it the standard size of a half page or a quarter page or whatever. Make it something different, because it stands out when they bring it home, and they treasure that more as I didn't just stuck it in my pocket. I didn't just throw it away. So something that's different brings people in, shall I say. I also wanted to ask a question. If you ever do an exit interview on members and why they leave your club. This is an 8-page exit interview questionnaire that was given to me in 2013 by one of my members who left the club, and it went all the way up to international, and nobody came back with a response to this letter. And I find it really shameful that it was never recognized, never looked at, and never addressed, because there's so many things in here in 2013. We're still dealing with it in 2023. This is 10 years ago. And I just was reading it today, and I was like, holy cow, this has been sitting around in one of my emails. And I said, oh my gosh, same stuff, different day. We haven't fixed a problem from 10 years ago.
Flashpoint. I just got an idea. I told you I dream a lot. I'm not particularly enamored with exit interviews, because I'm not so sure you would have truthful answers. Like if they said they didn't like the particular way somebody dressed, they wouldn't tell you that's why they left the or why they fixed their hair that way or whatever. How about having a survey to give to your members? And this is a brand new idea on my part, where you ask them to evaluate the meeting, not evaluate the speakers or any presenter at all, but what did you think of our meeting? Lance Miller found out that the two biggest reasons for people enjoying the club meetings is because they had fun, and then they liked the fellowship. And he commented that they have a lot of fellowship through internet, just like we're having right now. This is called fellowship and dialogue, and chat sessions, or just shoot the bull sessions. It could be benefit. So that would be another survey to take, is what did you think about our meeting? Not the content, but the meeting as a whole. Find out if people felt welcome. So that's what we want from everybody for this committee. We want ideas. I've got one that I call, that comes under the column called meetings, that's titled Get in the Game. If you walk into a room of people that are having fun and they're playing games, you want to get in the game. So if club meetings are people are having fun, living it up, so to speak, you want to get in the game, and you're going to come back to the next meeting. So what Get in the Game is based on is assigning meeting roles ahead of time. 2 to 3 meetings ahead, the idea would be to have all of the meeting roles assigned. Do you know what that does? It saves another 5 minutes of filling roles at the club meeting, which means they ultimately get filled, and people generally do a good job without preparing. So if I'm assigned a role to fill in the meeting, of being the enunciator master, or whatever you want to call the role, I'll probably be there. But the requirement is that if you have been assigned meetings, 2 to 3 meetings ahead, you have the obligation to find your replacement. So when the meeting opens at 7 p.m., all the roles are filled. The meeting can start and you can have more fun. There's there's any number of ways to add fun to a meeting.
You guys have you given any thought about just we've got a lot of these cool ideas. What kind of repository that if a club wanted to avail themselves of some ideas, where would they go?
Yeah, we've already thought about that. The initial spec was that we were going to produce a manual. A manual is a little bit dated and it's a little bit inflexible. So our plan is to start putting together the district website. We're going to have a page that flows out of this committee where we have some of these ideas available. And again, we have ideas and we want to come up with good ideas and we want to share them with people, because the whole idea here is that if you're a club officer or if you're an area director, or if you're a division director and you've got a club that could be doing better. Well, okay, we all have clubs that we know could be doing better. But if we have clubs that we know could be doing better and they have somebody who looks like they might be willing to do something to help their club be better, we want there to be a place where they can go, where they can look through ideas and say, you know what, that might work, that might work, that might work. And the idea is to connect the people who want to do the work with little bits and chunks that are already kind of pre-prepared, pre-assembled, whether that's marketing resources, whether that's a meeting template, that sort of thing, so that they don't have to be constantly reinventing the wheel. And we know everybody's time is limited. We want to maximize the value of the time people are putting into things. So that's the idea. We're going to be ultimately putting together some sort of centralized repository that we'll be able to send people to. That's not done yet. This is in the very early stages. We're getting our spec figured out, and then we're going to be working on bringing in subject matter experts to execute on certain things.
My next comment is going to be about quality meetings. If we're going to attract young professionals into Toastmasters as opposed to our neighbor or our cousin or a friend who may not need Toastmasters, who may not benefit from it, he might enjoy it, but he's not going to add to the benefit others are going to get from his input. So my thought is, and I just lost it. Is Joe with Waukesha in our group today?
No.
He sent me an email. He's I believe a division director.
Yep.
He sent me an email this week asking for some feedback about a club that he's in his area that is probably going to fold. And when I quizzed and I called him up right away, I said, if they haven't folded yet, we got to talk. The reason it is they're not getting participation at the meetings. And so I said, do you think if we would make them aware of making meetings fun, rewarding, educational, that we could save that club? And he said, I think there's a good chance. People will come to meetings that are fun. I've got another idea that I picked up from Sales Masters when I joined there for a while. I dropped out because their Zoom audio quality was so bad I couldn't understand what people were saying. But at any rate, they have a session called Elevator Speech. And everybody in the club was invited to give an elevator speech, meaning that what can you do to tell people about your business or your Toastmaster club when in the distance from the second to the fourth floor of the elevator, whatever that is, 30 seconds, 40 seconds. That's another fun thing that can be added to our meeting agenda. So instead of just having a counter and those particular role events, let's have a list of 15 or 20 different meeting roles that you can have to make your meetings different. Different makes it more fun.
All right.
And the other thing, I just want to address super quickly the question, why we have a committee looking at this. Well, I've heard it said a number of times, well, there's a lot of good information out there on the internet. Yeah, there's a lot of information out there on the internet. The internet is wonderful. The internet is an amorphous mass, though. Just Google it. Well, yeah, Google's going to tell me a whole bunch of different things, or even my joke with feedback in Toastmasters. Yeah, I got my feedback. I'm going through implementing it. My speech needs to be longer. It needs to be shorter. It needs to go more in depth, but it needs to cover things at a higher level. I need to use more pauses, but I need to get more information in. I need to have more detail, but yeah, you get contradictory stuff all the time. And the whole point here is that we're trying to come up with things that are relevant to our members in our district that we found to be useful in our clubs or that will help our clubs. There are cultural differences around the world. There are cultural differences in Wisconsin. Boggled my brain. Not all Wisconsinites are the same. Go figure. But we're trying to come up with something that's relevant to us. So not just a link to, random stuff out there on the internet and random ideas. We're trying to come up with stuff that is going to work for our people. So that's the idea. We're trying to come up with things for our people that will work in our district, that will help our clubs be more successful. So that's the point of the committee. I think we're at time.
Out of time?
We
I think
are
we're at time.
we've got maybe time for one quick one. We got 3 minutes left. If you want to make any parting comments to just wrap things up here, that'd be great.
I was a stranger to Toastmasters 44 years ago. This is about marketing. A stranger called me, and I've used that word twice now. I didn't know him, but he had heard my radio program about gardening. And he says, "Can I pick you up next Tuesday evening and take you to Toastmasters?" You know what my answer was? "I'm sorry. I'll be busy next Tuesday." That's fine. That's fine. I'll pick you up 2 weeks later and we'll show you how to improve your communication on your radio program. Do you know what? All of a sudden, my appointment for the next Tuesday night disappeared. And I went and I joined because I heard a guy who puts Chevy cars together at the GM plant give a speech that took him to the world contest 3 times. Strangers. We've got tons of strangers around us. Toastmasters says invite your friends. A club of 15 members that are struggling with 7 or 8, they don't have enough friends to solve their problem. They've got to invite strangers. And that's what that vertical banner is going to help do. The business cards are going to help do that. But the most important element that ever happened in my life is Toastmasters. And when I was a teenager, every Saturday afternoon, I shoveled cow manure to add to the soil in our greenhouse. If a guy can take Toastmasters and go from shoveling cow manure, putting it in bags and selling so many bags that I was proclaimed to be number 1 in the number 2 business, if that's what Toastmasters can do for me, it can do marvelous things for everybody. They've just got to get into it. And then we've got to make our meetings fun and exciting and rewarding. And we've got to know how to get strangers into Toastmasters, like the guy I met last Friday at cardiac rehab. I might have a prospect to work on now.
That's great. Tom, I've heard you tell that story about the stranger many times, and the thing that always impresses me so much. What clicked? It seems like what clicked with you is something that he said that you could understand would directly impact you. It would
If-
it would improve you.
He was fishing with a lure, and I liked it, and I took it in hook, line, and sinker. It's not a matter of just saying, don't fish with a worm. That'll get you a small fish. But if you want a trophy, fish with a lure.
Okay, Yuri, I see you had your hand up. Just a quick comment before we sign off here.
I wrote down membership, marketing, motivation. What was the fourth one?
I'll read them all to you. Membership, marketing, fun meetings, and incentives.
All right, very good. Thank you, Tom. Thanks for your time putting this together. Thank you for your passion. It's infectious. If we take anything away from this hour tonight, it's maybe to catch a little bit of that infection that you have and spread it around. So thanks again, everyone, for your time tonight. Thanks, Tom. And hopefully we'll see you all again at our next meeting. It's in not 2 weeks, it's in 3 weeks. So the first Sunday of February.
And I am looking forward to getting a new computer next week to replace my 15-year-old one. And you know what it will do for me? It'll take my voice and convert it to text, because I can't type fast enough to capture everything that's coming from my brain.
Excellent. All right. With that, we'll sign off for tonight and see you all again real soon.
Thank you.